And now they feel like they're having a conversation with a human instead of a conversation with a robot. You don't want this to look like it's just a questionnaire that they could have easily filled out online. You want to ask questions, follow-up questions, open-ended questions, and have that genuine curiosity. The fifth thing, are you ready? The fifth thing to having unique and great content might not be focused so much on unique content as it is on good content, okay? Good value to your listener. And what I'm saying here on the fifth thing of extracting unique content from guests, the fifth thing is just to know who your avatar is better than you do now. If you understand your avatar, if you know what your avatar is worried about, what they want to achieve, what's holding them back, then it's going to allow you to ask better questions for better content from different guests. And here's a couple of examples. Like on my podcast, this podcast I'm podcasting, I'll say stuff like, I'll say, what would you tell, insert my avatar here, about how to do this thing, okay? What would you tell, and then I insert my avatar, about how to achieve what? So for example, on the podcast, on podcasting, that usually goes something like this. Josh, what would you tell one of our listeners who is a brand new podcaster? They've been doing it for less than 2 years, and they really want to achieve high success with their podcast without all the work. What would you share with that person? So now I'm allowing, it's taking it a step for two reasons. Number one, my listener knows that I understand who they are and what they're going through. Okay. That it allows my relationship with my listener to be strengthened. And then on the additional side, with knowing the avatar and asking questions like this, it supports your guest to really consciously think about giving value to a specific listener, a specific person. And that will just bring out better content than if you forget to say, what would you tell somebody who's going through this? If you're a life coach, let's say you're a life coach and you're talking about the 5 love languages. For some reason, you're talking about the 5 love languages because you're a life coach and you help people with their business and you help people with their personal life, their physical fitness, whatever. You kind of holistically help. And you might mention something about the 5 love languages. You might have the author of that book, The 5 Love Languages. Okay, you might have the author on. And then what you'll do is you might say to that author, you might say, it's so cool that you wrote this book and I resonate with it a lot. What would you tell a listener who is looking to achieve greatness and they haven't yet read your book? Something like that, because you're a life coach and you know that your listener probably wants to achieve greatness. So I'm just kind of trying my hardest on assuming I knew your business. But point is, what would you tell, insert your avatar here, about how to achieve blah, blah, blah? What would you tell somebody who has a podcast? It's not performing exactly how they want it. And they are hoping to figure out the top things that they need to do to focus on this year. Now I've called you out. I've called out my avatar. That person knows, and then they can answer in accordance. So just to kind of wrap up this episode is we talked a lot about getting better guests, getting guests on your podcast, and then how to extract the best value out of the guests themselves. So for finding guests, we talked a lot about different referrals, relationships that you already have, forums to go to, agencies to work with, and social media. Gave you a bunch of strategies there. And then we talked about extracting better content, unique content from those guests by doing more recon, breaking the ice up front, maybe in the middle, maybe at the end, but breaking the ice, setting it off in a new trajectory, active listening, genuine curiosity, follow-up questions, open-ended questions versus yes and no questions, and understanding and identifying your avatar with your guest to make sure that they're answering for that one person that knows that they're listening.